Dude, stop acting up.
Settle down. You're going to the...
Anyways, guys, we got one of the more underrated videos. We got power rings, but this time there's gonna be a little bit of twist because I am ranking all the teams that again missed the playoffs. Sorry if you're already checked out for your team. I mean, I don't know, go watch basketball. UConn just had a hell of a game tonight. But yeah, I'll be giving you guys the wildcard power rings. This is again the final one where we'll actually go through every NFL team. I'll give you guys 2 more weeks of power rings. We'll get more into that once we get into this. But yeah, guys, time for power rings. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Wildcard. Please like and subscribe. Hope you guys are ready for the wildcard weekend power rings. I again will be honest with you guys should really just pay attention to the top 14 playoff teams. That's really what you're here for. But other than that, I will be going 1 through 32 for the final time this year. Kind of crazy, but yeah, again, the teams did play last week, so I think it is fair to give them their again final respects before we talk about them in, I don't know, a month or something. Also, guys, again, if you haven't already heard, I will not be doing I'm just gonna say it, a hype video this year because again I just don't have the time to do it. I'd love to say again, I hope I can do one for the AFC and NFC championships like I usually do. We'll see if we can get there, and obviously I really hope I can get a Super Bowl one out because I think that would be really cool, and I think there's a good chance I'll be able to do that. But other than that, guys, I'll have you guys predictions for the entire playoffs. My bracket prediction tomorrow. Again, that'll kind of spoil some things for the predictions, but still, wildcard predictions I could change if I really wanted to because again they're my predictions. I can do what I want. But that's really the plan for the next 2 days, and then I'll obviously have the recap of all the crazy stuff that happens over wildcard weekend, probably on Tuesday. So we got a busy week coming up, but again, it should be fun. Again, playoffs are about to start. My Rams will be kicking off, which we'll be talking about sometime in this video. But anyway, as you guys know, the worst team in football this season was the Raiders, and are they the worst team in football though after this final week of the season? No, I'm putting the Jets 32 because of how bad they finished the season. This is a Jets team that was at 4-9, beating the Falcons. They decided to really just kind of mail it in after that, or 3-9, as they ended up losing their final 5 games. No, that's not true. 4 of them being in December. Again, one of the worst months in NFL history. Is they lost all 4 games by 23 or more points. And from what I know, they're the only team in NFL history to lose 5 straight games. Not only the end of the season, but just in general by 23 or more points. Just not a really even a remotely competitive football team. Aaron Glenn, I still don't know why he's their head coach. Again, I'm not going to say call for his job because there were some good things he did in terms of progress. This team had absolutely 0 though this season. Again, this team took, I won't even say a step back. They're no better than they were last year. Let's be honest, guys. Again, this is just a team that's lost. They'll probably take on Malik Willis next year as starting quarterback, which will be an intriguing thing for them. But at the same time, do you really expect this Jets team to become even competitive next year? Because they were they weren't even an NFL team. Again, last 5 weeks of the season. 31. I have the Raiders. Congrats to them winning their first game since week 6. They're obviously not a good team at all. That you guys saw they were freaking throwing out whoever they could at quarterback there. I was just waiting for a fan to go out there. But yeah, the Raiders obviously didn't end the season they wanted. They did fire Pete Carroll, which I honestly think was a decision that many people would think would be decent because I know how passive that sounded. But still, you get the point. The Raiders, though, 3-14 end their season. Again, very rough season for them. But at the same time, again, they deserve to be above here. They actually won, unlike the Jets. Again, crazy win there for them. Again, shout out to Daniel Carlson, who was probably their MVP this season. 30, no, that's not true. He wasn't too great. 30 had the Cardinals. They also went 3-14. They ended the season losing, 13 of 14, something ridiculous like that. Or 14 of 15. Again, you saw Jonathan Gannon out of a job after that, which is pretty logical as well. So I'm really trying, guys. But yeah, for Jonathan Gannon, guys, he's an interesting dude. He probably will land on his feet somewhere. But again, this team has been atrocious 2 of the 3 years he's coached them. Again, the first year kind of a wash, but this year, bro, I mean, there's really not many excuses. This team was just not really a well-rounded football team. Whatever, they have to completely reinvent their defense. But I will say there's some young players in this roster that are pretty valuable, especially a guy like Paris Johnson Jr. You have something, Cardinals, but you got a lot of work to do. 29, we have the Titans, who just got their absolute arses blown out by the AFC South winning Jaguars. I will say they, again, didn't really have a chance in that one. Cam Ward got injured and stuff, who actually didn't end his rookie year on the worst of notes. But at the same time, Titans have not been a competitive football team this year. They have a lot of work. Probably one of the least talented, if not the least talented rosters in the entire NFL. Again, you saw they fired Brian Callahan a while back. A lot of rumors about who they'll actually hire as their head coach. I think that's going to have to be an offensive guy. Cam Ward's too talented of a quarterback in a lot of ways and shows too many flashes to not give him that opportunity. I'll be interested to see what they do again. He, I guess, is somewhat involved with the coaching process. I don't really know about that, or coaching search. I'll be interested to see what happens there. Also, guys, sometime in the next couple weeks, again, as you know, again, the playoffs, they don't really require as much as the regular season in some ways. We will probably do a coaching review as I usually do, so that'll be pretty fun to do. But Titans are 29. 28, I have the not the freaking Jets. What are we doing? The Giants. There we go. Giants, they won. It wasn't the first time they win against Cowboys in 5 years or 6 years, something like that. 34-17. I mean, Jackson Dart, look, I think that gives you all you need to know about him being their starting quarterback next year. But again, we all know what they're going to need to do. They got to get that receiver for him. I mean, guys, Malik Neighbors can't be the only dude there. And Darius Slayton, bro, he's getting a little bit old for me. He's been there for now 7 seasons, and he really hasn't done a ton in terms of actual production at receiver. But anyway, 27, we have the Browns. They won too. Shador didn't play very well, but Myles Garrett got the sack record, guys. There's a lot of stuff we can talk about with the Browns, and they fired Ken Stefanski, which makes sense after 6 seasons. It was basically a time, or no, he's only been in the league 6 years for Darius Slayton. My bad, though. No, 7 years. For Kevin Stefanski, he's out of a job. Him and obviously John Harbaugh will be the biggest head coaching commodities this offseason, as well as guys like Chris Shula and maybe Jeff Hafley. But for the Browns, guys, they have a lot of work to do on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they're not in the worst spot. They definitely still want to upgrade some spots and especially manage what they're going to do with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who didn't even play this year. But he is a guy who I don't even know if he's going to be the same player, guys. Yeah, because he's not a 3-year deal. And he's he's due $6 million this year. I'm gonna try to find this. Jesus, what a thing there. Yeah, because 2020 rookie season, he was phenomenal. 2022 and 2023. 2023 was, I'd say, was his best year. I think he was better in coverage in 2022 though. And then again, last year he only 2024 played 8 games. Then he played all this year. He's one of the more versatile and he just makes plays, guys, a linebacker. I know I'm going on a tangent there for them. That is like one of the things they have to manage this offseason because, again, defensively, what are they going to try to fix with that? Offensively, though, we know what they need to do. Everything's got to get fixed. 26, I have the Chiefs, who, again, ended their year on a 6-game losing streak. It didn't really look like they were very interested in winning any games. Or 5-game losing streak. No, 6-game. Where the hell are they? But obviously, they'll be in Cancun for the offseason. Andy Reid questions about how he's going to try to manage his team. Travis Kelce, is he going to retire? Again, they were down to Shane Buechele, their 4th-string quarterback in that game. So, I mean, again, you only can take so much from that game against the Raiders, guys. But still, again, very disappointing, very stunning season from the Chiefs this year. Again, they finally did, in fact, fall off. 25, we have the Commanders. Thing about them is they beat teams they're supposed to beat. I guess with the Eagles' backups, they were able to do that. Josh Johnson got his first win since in 8 years, so again, good for him there. But yeah, if you're a Commanders fan in this one, you guys know your season. You literally flipped your records. Jay Daniels didn't literally look that great even when he was playing this year. A lot of reflection, a lot of things you're going to need to fix this offseason as well. Again, they did fire both coordinators, which is, I think, was something that definitely was a change. Was it the right change? I don't really know for sure. Joe Witt, though, again, definitely wasn't the answer to defensive coordinator. 24, we do have the Dolphins, maybe? Yeah, they got blown out. Not really too surprising there by New England. I'm not really want to talk anything else about them. Tua's not going to be their quarterback next year. Hopefully not. And Mike McDaniel, he's going to be around, so we'll see if he can keep his job. 23, we have the Saints. They had a really nice end of the season. Again, they were playing cupcake teams, but still, again, finishing 6-11 for a team that was projected by a lot of people to have the worst record in the league. They still have a top 10 draft pick, but again, this team, especially with Tyler Shook, is looking a lot more promising. But again, this team has a lot of holes in this roster. They have a lot of work to do, especially, and I mean especially at receiver. 22. Yeah, Bengals, they lost to the Browns. I mean, that's kind of all I need to say. I mean, the Packers did too, I guess. But, yeah, defensively, there's not going to be many guys that have been there the past couple years that will be there this coming year. Offensively, they're not in the worst of spots. Again, Joe Burrow is kind of getting impatient, so we'll see, again, how they affect that or change things there. But, obviously, Zach Taylor's not in the greatest spot in terms of his job either, considering they've missed the playoffs for 3 straight years, and parts of that has been his fault. 21, we have the Cowboys. Again, they fired Matt Eberflus. Again, they played their backups. Again, they got to rest their starters for the playoffs. What else can I say? Finished with a losing record for the first time in back-to-back seasons since, what was it, 2000, 2002. Kind of already talked about this in the recap, but the Cowboys again just kind of have had a tough year, and they're definitely not going to be wanting to do this year. And again, it's kind of crazy because we kind of expected this from them. All you guys need to know, it's going to be 32 years until the Cowboys win their next Super Bowl, or 31 actually. Anyway, though, up next, we do have the Colts, who are at 20. They end their season about as worse as they possibly can. Again, they did compete pretty well, though, against the Texans, which, again, I think give them some props there. But, again, Texans backups, that is. Riley Leonard looked pretty solid, though. I think he could be a good backup for them in the future. Again, it remains to be seen if they bring back Daniel Jones, but I hope they, in fact, do that. But it comes down to the fact that this defense needs to be able to put it all together because, again, this offense, I think, is a little bit, next year, especially when I look at it, again, they're definitely going to be doing some stuff to it. But I don't really see it as a group that's going to be as, like, again, well, I think it's going to be probably somewhere in between if everyone stays healthy, which probably won't happen. From what we saw, again, the first half of the season and again, somewhere from that, honestly, guys, it's going to be a little, like, somewhere in the middle between that and obviously a disaster. Defensively, though, that's where they're going to actually be a good team, and they will probably put Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen's jobs on the line, again, if they're not able to do a lot with that. 19, we have the Bucks. The end of their season, I think the way they wanted to in terms of going into the playoffs, they just want a hard-fought defensive battle, which isn't really what you expect from this team, at least going in earlier in the season. But at the end of the day, it's just a massively disappointing season for this team. They finished with a losing record for the first time since 2022, first non-division title since 2020. Again, first non-playoff season since 2019. Baker really didn't play that bad. Again, he definitely had his moments in that, but at the same time, Todd Bowles just didn't do a good enough coaching job. I think him being safe isn't the worst move because, again, there's definitely some things next year that I like about this team. But, again, they just completely fell off a cliff this year. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They did put themselves in a position to make the playoffs, so at the end of the day, which, again, is pretty fair. 18, we have the Falcons. They're the best team in this division. It's not even close. But, again, they didn't really play anyone good, so... all right, they eliminated themselves back in week 14. So what else can I say? But again, week was it 13? Falcon or 14? Yeah, Falcons though. Again, you guys just lost too many games early. Losing Michael Penix was a big issue. Kirk Cousins just isn't really a starting quarterback in the league right now. But again, honestly, you're a talented team, and I wouldn't be too worried. Again, firing your head coach was definitely a little bit of a alarm bell for me, but I mean, do your thing, I guess. 17, we have the Ravens. Again, this is, again, the first Ravens team in 2026 without John Harbaugh since, what was it? I wasn't even alive the last time he wasn't coaching. That's insane to think about. But for the Ravens, guys, again, a lot of changes will be coming to what they will want to be doing. I guarantee you, again, if you're a Ravens fan, you guys need to hire someone that is pretty similar to Mike Macdonald. Again, I don't want to say Mike Macdonald's in the way you want to go as a team, but in terms of what the Ravens are looking at, and again, look at how that Seahawks team is. They've had their best defense since the Legion of Boom. I think that's pretty fair to say. The Ravens need that defense. It's just who they are. It's what their culture is. It's what Lamar, I think, will be able to succeed with. They needed, I mean, honestly, guys, they need a defensive coach that can instill that culture. This coaching cycle, I don't want to get into this too much, but there are definitely some coaches that can bring a defensive presence, but aren't really going to build a culture that's really going to be great with that. I want to say, again, you might be thinking going like Jeff Hafley. Jeff Hafley's actually a good guy with culture, so I mean, maybe hire him. But anyway, Chris Shule is kind of somewhere in the middle. Again, if you think I was really trying to glaze him, I mean, I love glazing Chris Shule, bro. He's done a great job with the Rams for the most part. But no, he's somewhere in the middle. We'll talk about that more again if they actually end up hiring him. But there's other defensive coordinators that are definitely getting a look with the Ravens, and I don't know if that's the greatest idea for them. But anyway, Ravens have a big time decision to make. This is a team that should be making the playoffs every year and competing for the Super Bowl. But they just straight up haven't been able to do that at times over the past 5 years, or really with Lamar Jackson, which is just straight up wasting him. And again, he was just, I understand this year was a little bit of trouble, but again, obviously ending the season the way you guys did too. But I mean, you guys made a big time change. I want to see again. We'll see if it actually works. 16, we have the freaking Vikings. They ended their season really well. Again, it doesn't really matter though, because again, despite them having Brian Flores, Ravens in a defense that is really, really, really freaking good. Again, I don't really know if that'll, again, they might have wasted that. And again, I still think J.J. McCarthy sucks. So I don't really know what to tell you guys there. They beat the Packers backups. I don't really know what to tell you. Third stringers. I mean, that doesn't really show me much. Again, winning record back-to-back seasons, first time in a really long time. Good for them. Lions were the best team not to make the playoffs. I think we can all say that. Offensively, they were, second in scoring. Very nice win to end the season against the Bears. Jesus. Dan Campbell will definitely be doing a lot for this offense to try to change things up. Obviously not just him, because he's not a truly, again, offensive-minded coach. But again, it'll be very interesting to see how this Lions team bounces back next year, especially in the defensive side of the ball, which I'm telling you, this, again, I don't think the Lions window is technically closed, which I hate saying, because, again, guys, unless you're actually god-awful, any team can win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry to say it. It is true. Again, I'd say if the Falcons had a healthy Michael Penix and they didn't freaking choke games left and right, the way they ended their season, that was a team that could compete in the playoffs. But that, again, didn't end up happening. Again, so many variations here. But for the Lions, guys, I hate saying the window closed sort of thing, but this team window is wide open. But the thing is, they have some talented players on the defensive side of the ball, but they need to, again, kind of like fill that out, because a thin defense is a defense that will get shredded against good offenses. It's just that simple. Good offenses, again, what makes them different is the fact they are just able to exploit things that the defense can't really control. In some, there are times that good playoff teams, that's just what happens. They're just good. They can't, the defense just has no answer. We'll talk about the Niners in a little bit, but even if your defense has talented players, there's not really much they can do if they're being not only neutralized, but the offense is just being able to do what they want. And that is a fear I have for the Lions in the future. We already saw that most of this year as well. But again, it's just something to, again, keep in mind with them. But again, Lions, you're not in the playoffs, so let's stop talking about you. Now, Playoff power rankings, 14 to 1 through 1 wildcard power rankings here. Again, if you guys want to get into this, it'll be pretty fun to talk about in the comments. But anyway, worst team in the playoffs is the Panthers. I don't think anyone else would really argue with that. And I'm sorry, guys, most of these are my consensus rank, are pretty consensus, or are to the consensus in the rankings. I don't want to be boring, but honestly, guys, this is kind of what I agree with. So I'm not. Again, sorry, this is how it works, but it's gonna win. It's going to be what it's going to be. Panthers losing record. They can still beat the Rams, though, because they already did it earlier in the season. I will mention that. I'm not going to try to overlook them or anything like I did back in Week 13. But again, Bryce Young doesn't really scare me at all. Tevin McMillan's a phenomenal receiver, but he's really the only guy in that offense that does much. Offensive line, when they're on, are a really good run blocking unit. Their running game is very, very consistent when it is, again, on, but that's kind of wishy-washy with that. And then defensively, Mike Jackson that had a career year. J.C. Horn's one of the better corners back, probably, honestly, a top 2 or 3 cornerback in terms of talent in the league. But outside that, this defense is just easy, just run up and down on them. And it's just a Panthers team that it's kind of hard to picture them being competitive unless, crazy things end up happening. Third team, we have the Steelers. They're just their least effective football team here. Offensively, they're just one of the least efficient in the NFL as a running game. Rodgers does put them in a lot of good positions, but at the same time, yes, with DK Metcalf back, it's big, but again, like I said, at the same time, this is just a team that's not going to really do much with you guys. And defensively, they're definitely talented, but there's definitely, again, a lot of just coverage mistakes that will hurt them in games and make it really hard on them to continually get stops, especially for an offense that will have their troubles at times, especially against Houston. 12, we have the Packers. They're just injured to hell and back. They're definitely a better team than Chargers, in my opinion, but the fact, again, they're still super injured. And defensively, they really haven't been as good as you might think this season. Again, it's a big issue with me. Offensively, they're going to be able to put up points. It's just a matter of, again, if Jordan Love can play like he did against the Cowboys back in that wild card 2 years ago, if he's able to do that and this defense is able to force a turnover too, I don't see why the Packers can't. I wouldn't say upset the Bears, but again, get a big-time win versus a division rival. They have had the number on for a really long time. Number 11, we do have the Chargers. They're also a team, again, like similar to the Steelers, you're just not really that, again, wowed by. The thing is, their secondary definitely has a lot more competence there and a lot, again, even like arguably more star power as well. But the thing about this team is up front, their front seven isn't always as consistent as the Steelers is for obvious reasons, but still a very good group. Offensively, they need Ladd McConkey to step up. He's had a rough season, but he's got to be the guy in the playoffs. We saw it last year. Again, the Chargers obviously got blown out but with how bad Justin Herbert played, but Ladd McConkey was really the guy keeping them in that game. On top of that, their running game needs to be a big part of their offense too, because if that just doesn't happen, I'm going to be honest, because this offensive line that's beat the hell and back will not be able to sustain blocks for long enough for Justin Herbert just to throw the ball around the yard. With that said, though, they still have Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. Yeah, kind of crazy. But again, we'll give them a chance to win here. But obviously, they haven't really played a legit game in 2 weeks. Number 10, we have the Bears. They're not a team that impresses me much. Again, first year with Ben Johnson, phenomenal season in that regard. Won the NFC North for the first time since 2018, trying to win their first playoff game since I'm not mistaken, 2010. A lot of work to do there for the Bears, but obviously one of the more talented quarterbacks in football with Caleb Williams. They're going to, again, be looking to see what they can do with that. But again, they're definitely in a tough spot considering how their defense really just doesn't give you the support that for an offense that sometimes just doesn't get much done, especially when the running game just isn't really being utilized the way you want it to. Again, but when the running game's on, it's a really good team. Number 9, we have the Niners. They can't stop a cold, but other than that, again, offensively, no, they can do whatever they want. It's just a matter of, again, if Brock Purdy doesn't force a ball in a tight window, or CMC actually runs for a positive, again, success rate. I hate success rate as a stat, but again, it is good for some things. Again, I do add it with explosive plays. Don't worry about it. I figure out my own stats. But anyway, the Niners are at 9 because they have a great offense defensively. Again, we know they can't stop a cold because of how injured they are, and also just the construction of this defense isn't great. No, again, it's mostly pass rush though, because they do have solid corners. And again, Malik Mustafa usually is a good player. But shout out to Tatum Bethune, bro. He's done a decent job with front Warner out. 8, we have the Eagles. They won the Super Bowl last year. They're still a team defensively, at least, that looks somewhat, resembles somewhat of the things that we saw from last year's team, but honestly, even better in some regards. Offensively, I mean, it's kind of been a mess this entire season. We're not going to lie with that. But at the same time, again, this is a team that just won the Super Bowl last year. You can't really count them out. They do have a home playoff game, at least for the wild card. It'll be interesting to see what they can do against the Niners, especially on the defensive side of the ball. 7, I have the Patriots. Again, cupcake schedule, there's no way around that. This is a team that I don't really expect to be doing a ton in the playoffs. But again, Drake May, everyone's talking about that. And again, for good reason, he, at least on film, has been an absolute just like, he's been insane to watch. But honestly, guys, the biggest thing with this Patriots team right now is if they can, compete and play a full 4 quarters against a team like the Chargers that are, again, a playoff team. I'll be interested to see what they do. They haven't really been tested much this year, and when they have been tested, they haven't exactly played their best football. Again, shout out to Mike Vrabel, though. 6th for the Broncos, the one seed of the AFC. Defensively, they're definitely the most dynamic in football, in my opinion. I do think, though, that their secondary is a little bit weaker than some people really think, and their linebackers aren't exactly the most rangy, which does hurt them in some of their multiple fronts. But again, going up against a team, I don't know, like the freaking Steelers, if that comes to what ends up happening, they won't be in a bad spot because, I mean, guys, let's be honest, their pass rush is going to absolutely swallow Aaron Rodgers, and offensively, as long as Bo Nix doesn't make a bad play and gets in the 4th quarter, they'll probably win the game. 5, we have the Texans. They have the best defense in football, in my opinion. That's going to really serve them well in the playoffs. CJ Stroud does need to be a guy, though, you can look at to make big-time throws very consistently, because there will be games, or there will be a game here against the Steelers where I think there will be definitely some third down situations where you're like, CJ, the offensive scheme might not be working out right now, but you got to do something about it. And again, if he isn't able to do that, that's again a little bit of a question mark there. But again, CJ Stroud has been able to do that in the past. I'm interested to see what he can do in this season, considering that again his offensive season hasn't been as good as really, again, they kind of need to be. 4, we have the Bills. They're the most experienced team in the playoffs. Again, I understand they're the 6th seed, but again, they just blew out the Jets to end their season with their backups. But if you're a Bills fan right now going to the playoffs, you guys got to be pretty confident with your team. Again, going to Duval is not an easy task. Well, you'll see why in a second. But again, the Bills right now are in a solid spot. This is their best chance to win this. I know it's arguably their worst roster. I'd argue 2020 might have been a worse team than this year, but this is arguably the Bills' worst roster since Josh Allen pulled up. Again, for every year they made the playoffs. But again, in a game like this year against the Jags, they're just simply, Josh Allen's going to have to make some big-time plays if they're going to win it, obviously. 3, we have the Jaguars. They're red hot right now. I would not want to play them as well. Trevor Lawrence is interesting because, again, he's played 2 playoff games in his career. Again, the first one was an absolute roller coaster against the Chargers. They came back from down 27-0, and then the next week he played somewhat decent against the Chiefs. I need to see him go off, to be completely honest with you guys. I need to see a full 60 of him just playing like absolutely crazy football to see this team as the AFC favorite. I think they can beat the Bills for sure. Again, I just think this matchup right here will honestly decide the AFC champion. I know that's crazy for a lot of people, but again, the Duval is a tough place to play. They're not losing games right now, and again, especially with how talented their defense is on some parts, as well as the offense. The fact that again they can really do a lot of things you need to, and Liam Cohen's just proving me wrong every week. Again, if you're a Jags fan right now, you gotta be really, really happy where y'all are at. But at the same time, you guys are losing the wild card. Who really cares? But I think again they're a wagon right now, guys. 2, we have the Seahawks. If this was most likely to win the Super Bowl, they'd probably be higher, or the team that's won wouldn't be there. The Seattle game got the 1 seed in the NFC. Congrats to them. Defensively, I think they're a little bit overrated overall, but at the same time, you look at what Mike McDonald's been able to do, it's legit. But other than that, guys, they beat the Rams in Week 16. They came back and won that game. That is why they're the 1 seed. Sam Darnold, no one trusts him. I mean, if you do, do it at your own risk. But Seattle, guys, you have question marks for sure, but you got to the 1 seed. You earned the 1 seed. That's why you're at 2. Number 1, we have the Rams. I think they're the best team in the league. I've said that a lot this year. Last week kind of just pissed me off. They didn't deserve to be at 1 either. But honestly, guys, after this last week they had, even though, again, it was against the freaking Cardinals, going into the playoffs, I think the Rams were the best team in the league. Not the best chance to win the Super Bowl, per se, because, again, or most likely is probably the best word to use it for that. But in terms of sheer numbers and just overall teams, Rams are my number 1 team going into the playoffs. But they are still the 5 seed. They're going to go to Carolina. It would not shock me at all if they ended up losing to the and Charlotte in that game. But again, big time game for Stafford. Honestly, guys, though, stats don't matter. I expect the Rams to run the ball for over 250 yards. We'll get more of that again for the predictions on again Friday. Tomorrow, though, I'll give you guys my full bracket predictions. So again, if I get those wrong, I mean, I have Saturday to do my thing, I guess. But anyways, guys, get ready for some predictions on the playoffs the next couple of days. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed these power rankings. Comment down in the section below. Again, if you have any disagreements, what are your power rankings looking like? And I'll see y'all for the again playoff predictions tomorrow.
That'd be big for Tampa.
He's been an enigma himself, and here is Peyton Barber, and a touchdown. And Earl Watford, who's been in there as an extra offensive lineman, sprung the key block to allow Peyton Barber to score his 5th touchdown of the year, 15 yards out to give the Buccaneers the lead.
Well, here's the double team down here between Watford and and Dotson, the tackle. Now look at bounce back up to the 2nd level. He pushes the defensive lineman across.